Welcome to the second video in the series called Basics of Music. In this video, we'll talk about how to read pitches. Our first tool for reading pitches is a staff. Now, we have all kinds of pitches, right? Ooh, to choose from. So how do we organize all those possible pitches on paper? Well, we can't write pitches on paper. We can only make pitches with our mouths or with instruments. So we have to figure out a symbol that tells us where a pitch is. So we use a staff. A staff is 5 lines counted from the bottom up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 spaces counted from the bottom up, also 1, 2, 3, 4. Those lines and spaces take all of our possible pitches and organize them into a little grid. Lower pitches down here, and then higher pitches as it rises on the staff. Now, at this point, we don't know what pitches are being represented by this staff. It could be anything. But we need a symbol that tells us exactly what pitches are being represented here. So here's a symbol, probably the most common one. We call it a treble clef. It's also called a G clef. A treble clef or G clef tells us that this line has the name G and has a certain pitch. Now that we know that, we can figure out what all the other pitches are. We use letter names to refer to pitches. If this is G, then you would think, well, it's probably H that comes after that. But no, we only have 7 letters. I won't explain why, it would take too long, and it would involve having a piano keyboard. So let's go on. Just know that when the pitches start, when we get to G, it starts over at A. And so now we have the letter B, C, D, E, F. Remember, this is referring to pitches. And if we go down below G, we go down the alphabet, G, F, E. So if we have a note head that sits on one of these lines or spaces, we say it has the name B, which refers to a specific pitch. So now, we have lines and spaces with names, and we should know those names. It's like learning the ABCs so you can learn to read words. This is basic, and you should work on it, memorize it, and get really fast at it. The lines are E, G, B, D, and F. You can come up with something like E, G, B, D, F. These are the lines of the treble clef. Or you could do something like, let's make a sentence. You know, there's every good boy does fine, or when I was a little boy, deserves fudge seemed much more appealing. Either way, find a mnemonic device or simply memorize the names of these lines. And then the spaces are easy because they spell face. So this is basic to reading pitches. We need to know the names of the lines and spaces. Now we have other clefs as well. And by the way, this is a clef, not a cleft. A cleft is a kind of maybe palette or something in a rock. It is not a musical symbol. This is a treble clef or G clef. It has treble voices, higher voices. And this one is a bass clef or an F clef. It has lower voices. It's called an F clef because it shows us where F is. F, again, is the name of a pitch, right? So we go up the alphabet. If this line is F, then the space above it is G. And the line above that is H. No, it's A. You knew that. This is A. And then we go down from F. So the space below F is E. You could even say it if you want to. D, C, B, A, and G. So we have 5 lines, and they're similar in order to these lines, but it starts on a G instead of an E. So you need to learn the names of the letters. of the bass staff if you want to become fluent at reading pitches. So, G, B, D, F, A, or you can simply make up sentences or use pre-manufactured sentences, such as, good boys do fine always, or the grade school version, good boys deserve fudge always, or any number of other sentences. The point is, use it, memorize it, and then here the spaces are A, C, E, and G. Again, you can just memorize A, C, E, G, or ACE, G, or you could make up a sentence like, all cows eat grass, or my favorite as a child, all cars eat gas. Ha ha, it was so funny then. It works. Whatever you use, just choose something that works and that helps you memorize the names of these pitches. Those are the basics of pitch letter names. Now, what is this note right here? I don't know. Do you know? How do we know? It's out in the middle of nowhere. We need to give it a context. We do that by drawing lines. Watch this. This is called a ledger line. It's a short little line that extends the staff up or down from the regular 5-line staff. So if we go from the top line here, which is F, we could just count up the alphabet, starting over at A, of course, to figure out what that pitch name is. So here we have F, the space is G, then we have A, the space is B, the line is C. So now we know this is C, but the way we figured it out was to use ledger lines. So ledger lines can be used to extend any staff, treble staff, bass staff, up or down. Now, the way it's written right now, if we are reading pitches on here, we should go from left to right on this staff, then we should come down, just as if we were reading words, to the next line and read this staff. But many times, we will have two staves happening at the same time. If you open up a hymnal, you see two staves of music happening at the same time. So in order to accomplish that, we draw a line, and sometimes we'll see a bracket. In some of your hymnals, you might just see a line. This means now that all of the music on both of these staves is going to happen at the same time. We call this a grand staff. Why is it called a grand staff? I don't know. It's just great because everybody can sing on it. So that's the end of this lesson on pitch. In the next lesson, we'll talk about reading pitches and we'll go into reading solfege. If you don't know that word, don't be afraid. It's a really great thing. See you there.